The rumors that had been circulating for weeks finally reached their peak when Taehyung and Jungkook appeared. Not together, not with a long statement, but enough to make everything feel different. Many called this a confirmation. But what kind of confirmation? And why did it feel even more confusing? It all started with speculation that never died down. Issues surrounding Taekook, their relationship, the distance between them, and the suspicion of certain restrictions became hot topics on social media. Old video clips, magnified small moments, and analyses of their facial expressions were all pieced together into a grand narrative that seemed to lead to one conclusion. Something was being hidden. But then, something unexpected happened. Taehyung and Jungkook came out. Not in one frame. Not in one recording. They appeared separately, different times, different atmospheres, even different energies. That's when ARMY started to wonder. If this was really just a rumor, why did the response feel so cautious? In one recording, Taehyung looked calm. He was smiling, but not completely relaxed. He spoke softly, but his eyes seemed to hold many unspoken words. He didn't mention Jungkook by name, nor did he explicitly address the rumors. But his words felt like a subtle message, an attempt to calm, not explain. Meanwhile, Jungkook appeared at a different moment. His style remained relaxed, his voice familiar, as if to say that everything was fine. But for ARMY who have known him for a long time, there were small details that couldn't be ignored. His tone of voice was a little slower. The pauses between his sentences felt longer. And when the topic approached sensitive areas, he chose to divert the conversation. This is what made the rumors not die down, but instead take on a different form. If their goal was to deny the rumors, why not do it together? If there really was nothing to hide, why did they have to be recorded separately? These questions filled the comment sections, trending topics, and lengthy discussions in the global ARMY community. Some felt relieved. Finally, they had appeared. Finally, there was an answer. Others, however, feel even sadder, because this response feels like a compromise, not freedom. Many fans began to interpret this situation as a form of protection, not only for themselves, but also for each other. In an industry full of pressure, sometimes what is left unsaid is more honest than official statements. Interestingly, none of them sounded angry. There was no defensive tone. There was no strenuous effort to deny. There was only a fragile calm, as if they were saying, "We know you're talking, but trust us, we're fine." Without needing to explain further. For ARMY, this moment felt mixed. There was relief, hope, disappointment, and a pain that was difficult to explain. Because Taekook is not just about rumors or ships. For many people, they are symbols of comfort, honesty, and a connection that feels real. Is this really confirmation? Or is it a subtle boundary they are building? One thing is certain. The appearance of Taehyung and Jungkook, even if separately, has changed the direction of the story. Rumors may be denied on the surface, but the emotions left behind are even deeper. And as always, ARMY will continue to observe, not to judge, but because they care. Because sometimes, what is most touching is not what is said, but what cannot be said. The silence after their appearance has become the loudest part. There has been no further clarification, no official statement to sweep away the speculation. All that remains are fragments of moments that ARMY keeps replaying. Every glance, every faint smile, every pause that feels too long to be a coincidence. Many fans are beginning to realize one important thing. The way Taehyung and Jungkook denied these rumors is very different from how idols usually clear up misunderstandings. There were no firm statements like, "That's not true." There was no carefree laughter signaling everything was fine. Instead, there was a gentle, almost fragile approach, as if they were walking a fine line between honesty and obligation. This is where the recorded separately narrative became the center of attention. In the entertainment world, appearing together often symbolizes unity and confidence. When two people who are constantly linked together choose to appear separately, the message can be interpreted in various ways. Some see it as a strategy. Others see it as a form of protection, so that neither of them is dragged further into the whirlwind of rumors. However, for ARMY who have followed Taekook from the beginning, this decision feels more personal. Some fans began to recall old moments. How Jungkook always stayed one step behind Taehyung. How Taehyung often looked back before speaking. Small interactions that once seemed ordinary now felt meaningful. And when compared to their latest appearances, the contrast was painful. Not because they had changed, but because the situation had forced them to change. In the comments section, two major camps emerged. The first felt this was the end of speculation, that separate appearances were proof there was no big story behind the scenes. But the second camp felt the opposite. For them, this cautious attitude was a sign that something was being carefully guarded, something the public couldn't touch, no matter how curious the fans were. And in the midst of this debate, there are armies who choose to remain silent. They don't want to guess. They don't want to jump to conclusions. They just want to believe that Taehyung and Jungkook are doing what's best for themselves. That if they choose this path, a path that feels cold and distant, it's not without reason. What makes this situation even more emotional is their expressions. Taehyung looks more mature, more controlled, but also more closed off. Jungkook seems to be trying to be cheerful, but there is a weariness that is difficult to hide. Neither of them looks broken, but neither are they completely free. It's as if they are saying, "We are still here, but not in the same way as before." For many armies, this isn't just about Taekook. It's about how the industry works, about the line between public and private, and about the price that must be paid when relationships, whatever form they take, become mass consumption. Rumors can be refuted with a single sentence, but feelings can't be erased so easily. And to this day, there is no definite answer. No explicit confirmation, no strong denial. All there is are two people who choose to stand alone before the world, in a calm, yet meaningful way. Is this the end of the rumors? Or is it the beginning of a new understanding that not everything has to be explained? ARMY may not get the answers they expect, but one thing is clear. The appearance of Taehyung and Jungkook, albeit separately, has left a deep emotional mark, and this story is not truly over yet. As time goes by, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The most painful thing is not the rumors themselves, but the way the rumors forced Taehyung and Jungkook to act differently than usual. Not because they wanted to, but because circumstances demanded it. ARMY began to realize that these separate appearances were not spontaneous decisions. Nothing felt careless. Everything seemed calculated, thought out, and carefully guarded. And precisely because it was so neat, many felt that there were suppressed emotions behind it. Some fans called it the quietest clarification in Taekook history. There were no loud voices, no fiery defenses, no dramatic denials.